lost my pencil. What did I do with my pencil? Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to call the April 30th, 2024 regular meeting of the Town Board to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Present.
Councilmember Delarada.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Brennan.
Here.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Here. All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We wish to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanikihaka and the Mahikanac peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the peoples who have stewarded this land throughout generations. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 27th, 2024 regular town board meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the February 27th, 2024 regular meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Moving on, may I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 12th, 2024 special meeting of the town board?
Motion to approve the minutes from the March 12th, 2024 special meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. Okay. And then I would like a motion to approve the March 21st, 2024 regular town board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the March 21st, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to those minutes? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those meeting minutes are approved. Just want to give an overview of the work we'll be conducting tonight. We'll begin with a presentation regarding the utility bills. I will be speaking, and then the Superintendent of Water and Sewer, Matt Yetto, will be speaking. Then we will have our committee reports and the supervisor's report, and then we will open the floor to the residents for privilege of the floor. Then we will move on to resolutions. Okay. I'll ask my administrative assistant, Erin, please go ahead and share the slides. Okay, thanks for coming out tonight. Clearly, there is a singular issue that brings many of us here tonight, and that is our new utility bills. I understand that many of you are frustrated and upset. We've taken note of your questions, your ideas, and concerns that have come to our attention this month, and our goal is to address many of them this evening. Thank you for your engagement on this issue. There were packets in the back, so if you did not get one, we can get you a copy at the conclusion of the meeting. First of all, again, I want to apologize. I want to say I'm sorry that the new utility increases and changes came as a surprise and have caused so much concern. We're taking several steps to improve communications and help residents better understand and manage their bills and their water use. I admit we dropped the ball on the communication. We could have communicated more effectively. The town could have done a better job communicating about the water and sewer changes when they were being publicly discussed, considered, approved, and implemented in 2023 and 2024. We followed our usual process for communicating town business and keeping the public and the media informed. But it's clear it wasn't enough. So I want to especially apologize for the confusion about the approximate $63 annual increase for water that you've been hearing and reading about. That $63 increase was in water fees was based on a minimum user. Our comptroller made clear in her presentation, but we neglected to include the minimum user in the press release. That was an oversight, and unfortunately, we didn't catch it. Later in the presentation, I will go through some math to illustrate my point. Moving forward, we pledge to improve communication. Here's what we are going to do right now to alleviate the situation with your new utility bills. We will be giving residents more time to pay the bills. We're pushing out the due date 60 days to July 19th. We are resending everyone's utility bill with the new deadline and a letter explaining the changes. We had planned to send that new letter out about a week ago, but we decided to wait until the new due dates on your bill were approved, and that will happen at tonight's meeting. We are waiving late penalties for 2 billing cycles. Our team continues to call back or meet with residents to review their utility bills and property taxes and troubleshoot any excessive water use that you have seen. We will even come out to your home. We have come out to many homes to date to help identify excessive consumption use and help identify solutions. We plan to simplify design of your utility bills to make them more understandable. Moving forward, every year, we will include a letter with your fall utility bill that shows how sewer and water revenue is being spent and how rates will look for the year ahead. The board will closely monitor the water and sewer revenue and fund balances, and any future adjustments will be made as part of the town's overall annual budget process. This is what happened in 2023, and it was the first time those water and sewer fees had been included in the budget process in a very long time. And we will provide conservation, education, and advice for residents who want to lower their consumption. So I want to talk about the budgeted versus actual revenue for the water, sewer 1, and sewer 6 funds since 2018. The hard truth is this: our water and sewer services have been on a dangerous trajectory for several years. That has to stop. We're running out of time. These changes will fix it and place us on a sustainable path. If we don't make these changes now, these services will run out of money. That means we won't have any of those water, sewer 1, and sewer 6 fund balances. And we won't be we won't be able to cover the deficits that you see that have been growing every year. You see, water and sewer rates, they have lagged seriously behind the increasing costs of providing residents with safe, reliable drinking water and responsibly treating the wastewater generated in our town. Water and sewer 6 have been operating in the red for at least the past 6 years. Every year, we have been under collecting revenue, and it's just not sustainable any longer. If you could go back just one moment, I'd like to point out. In 2022, when I first came into office, that budget was a budget created by the previous administration. It's a budget that I was gifted with. In 2022, that is when we worked really hard to identify these complex issues and set about a path to solving them, because we could see it was not sustainable any longer. So I want to talk about our 2024 budgeted expenses for the water, sewer 1, and sewer 6 districts and the remaining fund balance. So for 6 years, the town has been dipping into the water fund balance, essentially our rainy day savings account for water, to bridge the difference between what it actually costs to provide water services and what residents are paying for the water services. You'll see it's the same in some cases for the sewer. But note that our current water and sewer funds are approximately 30% of the budgeted expenses. So think about it like this. If anybody listens to Dave Ramsey, he always recommends you have several months in savings just in case you lose your job and you get sick. You have to be able to pay your mortgage and your car note and your credit card bills. I'm sure many of us strive to have a savings account that large, but also many of us probably don't. The town strives to have a savings account that is at least 20% of budgeted expenses for our funds. We are at a point in which we need to make sure we're maintaining these fund balances for a rainy day, for an emergency purpose. Without an increase, this savings account will run out of money. Again, we walked into this situation unaware in 2022. And when I say we, that includes me, our new comptroller, Beth Greenwood. And we worked really hard with respective department heads, the superintendent of water and sewer, the town assessor, town board members, to fix this issue. We created a solution to a problem that we did not cause. My goal is to stabilize and strengthen our water and sewer fund balances. We feel strongly this is the right plan for the right time for the right reasons. So, to those who suggest that we roll back the changes, that we phase them in, that we spread them out over a number of years, or change one piece of the puzzle at a time, and it's simply not an option. We've run out of time. Our plan was intentionally designed to implement all of these strategies at once to maximize the effectiveness and achieve the changes that were necessary. Again, our goal is to collect enough money to cover our actual expenses, so we do not have to rely on our rainy day funds, our water and sewer fund balances any longer. To those who say we should subsidize the rates by using general fund balance or dipping into the water, sewer, and sewer fund balances more, by town law, we are not allowed to use the general fund to subsidize water and sewer funds. It's not allowed. It's illegal. We've been dipping into the water and sewer fund balances for years, and the well is running dry. And to those who suggest the design is flawed and that we should scrap the entire plan and come up with a new plan, I say, I have unwavering confidence in the comptroller and the superintendent of water and sewer. They are highly skilled professionals, and they know what they are doing. They worked incredibly long and hard on this plan for nearly 2 years. It was explained, presented, and the town board discussed it, and it was approved unanimously. The bottom line is, these changes reflect a very hard but necessary decision that address years of depleting the water and sewer fund balances to pay for the water and sewer services that have been running deeply in the red, and our costs continue to increase. We want to ensure that the system is fair, equitable, and you pay for what you use. So how did we get here? I started to touch on this briefly. When I came into office in 2022, I was shocked to learn that the water and sewer services were nearly at a critical point financially. Previous administrations had kicked the can down the road year after year, letting the deficit increase, depleting the fund balance, and ignoring the need to raise the rates. Because frankly, that's unpopular as evidenced over the last few weeks. I stopped the can here. My administration gave it immediate attention. And it reminds me of a quote by John F. Kennedy. If not us, who? If not now, when? So to those who say we let a crisis brew and then hastily came up with a solution, that couldn't be farther from the truth. In 2022, I made water and sewer a priority, along with the new chair of that committee at the time, Councilmember Bill McPartlin. We rolled up our sleeves, we got to work, and we made tough decisions together. We were burning through water and sewer fund balance to pay the bills. It was not sustainable. It was not good governance. Water rates were artificially low. $30 for a base rate of 6 months. That's 16 cents a day for safe, clean, reliable water for all of your household needs. That's pretty unheard of. And you'll notice many other local municipalities are having to raise their water and sewer rates to cover the increasing costs. So we began to carefully dismantle a very complicated issue that had been left unaddressed for decades. One of the first steps was identifying residents who were in the wrong sewer district. But we never lost sight of the impact on residents. We were thoughtful and careful about the process, and we took our time and we did it right. Our comptroller did a very deep and expansive analysis to develop the rates alongside our superintendent of water and sewer, Matt Yetto. And it was clear we needed an extensive solution, because the longer we kept putting off the solution or addressing the problem, the more severe the solution was needed. So the town utility bills were delivered to the residents in early April. They reflect the town's new water and sewer rates that went into effect in July 2023. Again, they were approved unanimously by this board. The bills also include an important billing change for Sewer District 1 residents. So let's look at the impact of this change and the cost on our residents. So from the beginning, our comptroller shared this presentation slide multiple times to show the projected impact on residents. And based on our water and sewage analysis that several residents suggested we conduct, and we were already going to conduct, we have found that the residents' utility bills reflect those projections. Next slide. This table presents the bills for 7,700 accounts from this billing cycle for the water and sewer. First, we're going to look at the water, because we have the same rates for everyone in town for the water. Recall, the minimum use is 9,490 gallons. It was previously 9,772. So if you look down at the first column, down to the bottom row, daily cost, we have 43 cents per day for the minimum user. That's about 52 gallons of water per day. The base rate, $78 for 6 months. And the 12-month cost is $156, okay? So the previous minimum rate was $30 for 6 months or $60 for the year. If you subtract 156 minus 60, you get $96. Every property tax bill has capital debt listed. In 2022, we noted that there were operations and maintenance included on that line. In 2023, $26 was taken off of the property tax water fee for capital debt. So if you subtract 96 from 26, you get $70. The increase in water fees for the minimum users. What about the $7? You said it was going to be $63 increase. Well, this is because the original projections were based on the change from 2022 to 2024. And the change from 2023 to 2024 is different because every year we pay down capital debt, we owe less. Think about your credit card bill. When you pay it down, you pay down principal, you pay down interest, the next payment is going to be less. So we did in fact land on our projections for minimum users. And Matt Yetto will go through some bills to demonstrate that. So let's take a look at the average user. I also want you to take a look at the number of accounts in each bucket. You can go back. Approximately 1,000 users are minimum, 1,700 in the next bucket, 2,026 in the next, 1,288 in the next, so on and so forth. We would say that that's pretty normally distributed. And then we have some outliers on the very end, consuming over 500 gallons daily. Our average user consumes about 27,377 gallons of water for 6 months. That's about 150 gallons of water per day. If you look down at the daily cost, fourth column, where the amount is between 18,251 and 27,375, you'll notice that's about 86 cents per day. A very high user who's consuming up to 500 gallons a day, second to the last column over, would pay about $2.40 for water every day. That's less than a cup of coffee for clean, safe, reliable drinking water. Go ahead and move to Sewer 1. Sewer 1, when we combine the cost of water and sewer together, the average user who uses 150 gallons of water per day in Sewer District 1 will pay about $2 per day for water and sewer services. Go ahead and switch the slide. And for Sewer 6, the average user would pay approximately $1.55 for water and sewer services per day. And you should note that the difference in Sewer District 1 and Sewer District 6 rates reflect the fact that we are paying the city of Schenectady for District 1 sewer services, and District 6 flows into our own wastewater treatment plant. It's really important for everybody to understand. We strive to charge as much money as it costs to deliver the service. So what we're charging for Sewer District 1 is a reflection of what Schenectady is charging us for that service. So to summarize, our goal here is to provide clean, safe, and reliable water and responsible wastewater treatment to our residents. The decision to adjust the utility rates and billing processes was very hard, but it was necessary to ensure that we are taking in the money we need to pay for the cost of the services. We are confident that this is the right plan for the right time for the right reasons. And I would argue we are not in a position to roll back, rescind, or redo. We have waited too long. Thank you for listening. Matt Yetto will now share some of what his department has been doing over the past 2 weeks. Also discuss some of the utility bills that he has seen.
Okay, just before I start, I just wanted to put a map up showing the two sewer districts in town, just so that people would have a better understanding which district they live in. Sewer District 1 is shown in yellow, and it's basically the properties to the west of Balltown Road for the most part. And 6 is the district that is the remainder of the town shown in green. There's a few areas that aren't colored in that aren't in the current sewer district. This map is now available on our website. If anyone wants to go to our website, they can zoom in and see their actual street name and have a good understanding of where they belong. Just want to go over everything our department's done since the bills went out on April 10th. Our team has personally called back or met with more than 650 residents, most of them in Sewer District 1, to review utility bills and property taxes and troubleshoot excessive water use. This process will continue until everyone who has a question is heard. If people call and they get a answering machine or the voicemail, leave a message, and the utility billing clerk will call them back. He's calling everyone back who called. We visited more than 75 homes to help locate and diagnose issues that have lead to high consumption. The visits can range anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and they'll walk residents through issues that may exist in the plumbing or past issues that can be seen on the water meters. The meters that we have are able to be downloaded. We can
Hey,
get
Matt.
back.
I'm seeing from the back that people can't hear you. I don't know if your microphone's working. I think we're having technical issues. Is it working? Can you
Sorry
hear
about
him?
that. So we visited more than 75 houses so far. We had been meeting with residents, downloading information off of their water meters. It can tell us, that's better. It can tell us how much water they've been using up to the hour. We found pretty large leaks in some of these homes, and this is not new. We do this every cycle. Every time anyone calls us with consumption that does not seem to make sense, we go to the house and we offer to download the information and try to help them, because we don't want to waste water and we don't want to incur more costs on the residents and on our district. We are also planning to resend, as Supervisor Puccioni had mentioned, the utility bills with the new dates that the board will be hopefully approving tonight. And we'll also have a detailed letter with the changes, explaining the changes to the way we bill for water and sewer. I think a lot of the questions that we had were related to people not fully understanding the changes, and I take responsibility in part for that. We should have had some more information available with the bills. The table here was mentioned earlier by Supervisor. It was taken from the comptroller's presentation last year. I just wanted to say that we looked at our projections for what the different types of users would be seeing on their bills, and we are seeing that on the bills. They are lining up almost exactly to the projections. We acknowledge that the communication was a big failure on this, and I apologize for that. And it led to some misunderstanding and some misinformation out there because of the information that was lacking on the bills. Just for an example, there was some reports that a particular resident may have seen an 800% increase in their water bill. Next slide. When we did some research, we found out that this particular property was in Sewer District 1, was a minimal user, and up until recently was receiving a $30 water bill, because that's what the minimal charge was for water only. They were also paying $402.97 per year on their property taxes for sewer, like everyone else in Sewer District 1, but the information wasn't necessarily provided as well as it should have. So it appeared that on their bill, which went from $30 to $233, was a large increase on their water when it was actually their water and now a large portion of their sewer. So if you look at it and factor in the increase or the moving of the majority of the sewer charges from the taxes to the bill, it was not an 800% increase. It was more like a 120% increase, which ended up being $39.55 for 6 months, which is basically 20 cents a day. It was a sort of it was a reflection of the fact that we were undercharging for our minimal user in the water. Moving forward, the Water and Sewer Department will continue to personally answer any question or any call that we receive. We'll visit homes to help identify issues with consumption, and please call the number that's on the bill, 518-377-8411. Christine will take your information. We'll schedule an appointment if necessary. She can walk you through past consumption and answer any questions that people may have. Next one. One key thing that we've identified during part of this is what the importance of water conservation. By conserving water, we are reducing the cost to our residents and also to the system as a whole. The town plans to offer educational information as far as water conservation in the form of handouts. We're going to be adding some information with our bills. I've spoken to ECOS. They want to do an in-person workshop at some point here at Town Hall. And we also plan on using our website very heavily. And I think is that the last slide? Yeah.
You mentioned the conservation component. What about people who saw a huge jump in their usage and it was unexpected?
That's when we want to get to the house and try to help them identify what the issue was. We recently went to a home. They saw a large spike in their bill. And when we downloaded the meter, and the resident did say that they did recently do some plumbing improvements. I think one of it was a new toilet. They were using 800 gallons, 900 gallons, which after the date of that work, we saw a tremendous drop in consumption. So a leaky toilet, a dripping faucet, dishwashers. There are so many different fixtures in the house that can cause leakages that people don't realize if it's a bathroom that is rarely used, if the toilet's running. If you have questions, we don't have any issue coming in and helping by downloading, and we can learn a lot just from that. And the newer meters, we don't even have to enter the home. We can do it from the street. So I think we wanted to show an example of some of the new information that's going to be on the website. I think Aaron Cassidy Dorian from the supervisor's office has started to create some of these informational videos, and this is just an example of what we're hoping to share on the website.
Thanks, Aaron.
This video will focus on reading your utility bill and comparing your water consumption to the average consumption. To find your consumption from the last billing period, look at your utility bill under the consumption column. This year, all residents will see two lines, one for water and one for sewer. The average household in Niskayuna consumes 27,377 gallons of water every 6 months. How does your consumption compare? If your consumption looks elevated, you may want to think through a few factors that affect consumption. According to the EPA, toilet use is nearly 30% of indoor residential water consumption. This is followed by shower heads, which account for about 17%. Outside, a household with an automatic landscape sprinkler system that isn't properly maintained and operated can waste up to 25,000 gallons of water annually. You may also have a leak. An estimated 10% of homes have leaks that waste 90 gallons or more per day. running toilet can waste up to 72,000 gallons of water per year, which is more water than the average household in Niskayuna consumes in total for the year. The water department can help to ascertain if your home may have a leak. Contact us at 518-377-8411 or use the online form to report a problem.
Thanks, Erin, for sharing that. We have been working really hard over the last 2 weeks to create other education-related videos to explain this complex issue in bite-sized pieces to help, just spread the word and help people understand. Okay. That's all we have for presentations. We'll move on to our committee reports, and then we'll open the floor to residents. We'll go ahead and start with Police and Public Safety with Councilmember Brennan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Our Police and Public Safety Committee, our meeting was held on April 11th. We had several agenda items under operations. One was our towing bid continues to be ongoing, and Chief Koshin stated that we're anticipating to be completed with this process soon. For a traffic and community engagement assignment, Chief Koshin stated that Officer David Powell will be assigned. He'll be joining Officers Comanzo and Sergeant Relation for our traffic and community engagement division, which we're really excited about. Under fleet and equipment, we received the results of our mini bid for 2 new patrol vehicles, and that's up for resolution tonight, and Metro Ford did win the mini bid on that. For training, we held a countywide active threat training at Niskayuna High School on April 3rd through 4th. Sergeant Relation, Officer Comanzo, Officer Hemmerding, Officer Spataro, and Officer O'Brien and Officer Thomasone all participated in this threat training. Chief Koshin stated this was the first time we have hosted this training at Niskayuna High School, and it was in collaboration with our school staff. It was in partnership with our district. Chief Koshin thanked both Niskayuna PBA and Niskayuna Fire District 1, Grand Boulevard Fire Company volunteers for donating food for this event. We have Detective Munger and Officer Breslin who attended on April 16th the Radar Instructor School. We also had all of our members attend training for the use of force. We also had Officer Kalira and Officer Powell with instructor development course on the 22nd, and that goes through May 3rd, actually. And they're both expected to be utilizing this training to become defensive tactics instructors. The New York State Traffic Safety Conference was on April 24th through 25th, and Sergeant Relation, Detective Munger, and Officer Comanzo attended that. And Officer Doust attended car seat technician training on the 2nd through the 5th. So we had a lot of training going on this month. We had no new citizen correspondence. For town events, we have Coffee with the Cop at the Senior Center. Chief Koshin will be hosting it the third Tuesday monthly. He'll be continuing that. Target on the 15th. We had Coffee with the Cop from 12 to 2. And we also had Drug Take Back Day on the 27th from 10 to 2. For the school district, we discussed school speed zones and looking at especially the Craig zone and the Rosendale zone, assessing the speeds in those areas. We have the Cops and Kids reading program at Birchwood this month, so they're hosting us for the month of April. And Sergeant Mora will be co-teaching health classes in the high school. Actually, he did that on the 9th and 10th. And the kids really enjoyed that. In other news, we are working on a town event application. Erin Cassidy Dorian is continuing to review other municipalities, their application process, and she's continuing to look into how to best do this for our town. So we're thankful for her work on this. We don't have an official application process for events that don't require a permit, so that's why she's working on that. We also talked about petty cash. Chief Koshin stated that due to having purchasing cards, there's no need to have petty cash in the department, and he's requesting to eliminate this. That's another resolution for tonight. And Jean Fody spoke about National Night Out, stating that she would like the community programs and the police department to explore establishing this event in the town of Niskayuna. So as a committee, we discussed options, and this is a building community event, and it promotes police and community partnerships. So we're going to keep exploring ideas for that. So for resolutions tonight, we have the mini bid award to Metro Ford and the petty cash elimination. And our next meeting is May 2nd at 3:30.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Moving on to Highway, Parks, and Recreation, Councilmember McPartlin.
Thank you, Supervisor. We met April 4th here at Town Hall. We start our meeting with our Highway and Parks. That's Ray Smith, our Highway Superintendent. He reports that we spent over 400 hours, our crews did, picking up from some of the storms that we had in early April, end of March. So they're always out there working, cleaning up our roads and taking care of what we need to for our residents. Personnel wise, we're looking to hire some grounds workers in the Highway and Parks Department. We also hire people in the summer, college students, sometimes some high school students that come back and work for us in the Highway and Parks Department. So we'll be having resolutions for that and preparing for the summer, which I think will be here at some point soon. We'll see. Our yard waste pickup. So it doesn't officially start just yet, but you can see that if you do put your cans and your yard waste out, our trucks go around and do pick that up. We're not on our schedule yet, but we will be. Please check the website. Please try to follow the rules for the size of the cans and bundling of your yard waste sticks and things like that. River Road Park update, drainage improvements, splash pad infrastructure. These are all things we're working on in River Road Park. We're finishing up the parking in the pavilion. These are things that are going on. And again, this is led through our highway department. We had open discussion about our soccer fields and striping of parking lots and engineering work for some drainage that we need to do. And we want to thank also our engineering department. That's Matt Yeto, who helps our highway department. So Matt wears a lot of hats. As you can see, he does water and sewer. He's also a civil engineer. So he's a busy person, and him and his staff help when we need drainage and we need engineering. They do that for us. We discussed a pilot program that we're getting involved in with our tree council. So our tree council has wanted to get involved with some tree planting that our highway department has been doing for a long time. Town trees, we kind of call them. Residents can put in requests for trees on their property. So our tree council is now going out and working with the residents, educating them, helping them select trees. So it's a pilot program. We're hopeful that it's going to work out well, take a little bit of responsibility off of our highway department and have our tree council get a little bit more involved in helping our residents choose trees for their properties. All right, then we switch to recreation, our community programs. That's chaired by Lori Peretti. Her summer update, 65 plus applications for summer help for her. So these are, again, younger people that come to work for the town, usually multiple summers, and they help with our rec programs. They work at our pool and really help out. We couldn't do our programs without these employees. So we've had some resolutions for them, and we'll continue to until we fill all of those positions. And she reports that the Spring Hat and Bunny Parade was very successful. It was 65 plus children and 16 volunteers who helped out with that. So we want to thank all those volunteers who helped with that. Driving ranges opened April 20th, weather permitting. We had a Girl Scout come to the community programs. They're going to be putting in a little free library over at the Zenner Road Park, and we worked on location for that. Our Gene Fody is working on a national night out to take place on August 6th. ECOS, as you heard Matt speak about ECOS, they're an association in our town that we donate some space to them at our rec center, Environmental Clearinghouse of Schenectady. So they are going to put a pollinator garden at the town pool, and they were going to be maintaining that for us. Also, Cornell Cooperative Extension is going to be doing some composting bins over at the rec center in the upper parking lot. So we can look forward to those things. All those are free of charge, no charge to the taxpayer of the town. These are all being donated services. Our ML schedules program. This is a new calendar and scheduling program that we have here for the town. It's online and it's all of our facilities. So we have a lot of pavilions and parks and places that people like to rent over the summer. So we have a program now that's taking care of all that. That's gone live and it's very successful because it helps everybody coordinate. So we don't have, one person doing this particular park and pavilion, somebody else doing town hall or the rec center. Got it all in one place. For resolutions items, we're submitting a grant to the Niskayuna Community Foundation. And then we go on to our senior programs update. Linda O'Brien from the Senior Center, that's sort of it's actually the whole rec center, but it's the upper and lower part of that, reports on the programs that they have there. They have a very sort of a new sewing group going on there, and they're making pants and clothes for children. So they get fabric donated, and we've gotten machines donated, and we have people from the seniors down there making clothes for children, needy children. Great program, really, and it's all volunteer. People volunteer to do all of this stuff. Also at the senior center, we've got Alzheimer's supports group. We had a blood drive on April 15th. Thank you to Council Member Moskowitz. That's one of his programs, and that was successful. Thank you for taking care of that and doing that. You've done that for many years. Really appreciate that.
Sorry, Councilman Pond, just to add to that, we had a total of around 30 people come to the blood drive. We were able to collect a total of 20 units of blood, which saved 60 lives. So we were just short of our goal, but still 60 lives saved. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reporting on that. Much appreciated. We have exercise programs at the senior center, Mahjong tournament, lots of stuff going on down there. And we have a lot of people in the room tonight, so I'm being a little long, but just want to have some residents that maybe aren't aware of all these things that go on here at our town. We also had Drug Take Back Day. That was on Saturday here. It was National Drug Take Back Day. I've always volunteered on that with our Deputy Chief Twitty, who was there. We get young people that volunteer for that. Again, just good things happening here in your town. Our next meeting will be May 2nd at 8 a.m. here at Town Hall.
Thank you, Councilmember McPartlin. Moving on to Water, Sewer, and Engineering, Councilmember Moskowitz.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The Water, Sewer, and Engineering Committee met earlier this month on April 3rd. At the water treatment plant, the majority of our major upgrade project has been completed. Most recently, contractors were working on getting our aging generator to work properly with the new system, which was a bit of a challenge. There was some control work that needed to be done, but it is now up and running and functioning properly. Our Superintendent of Water and Sewer, Matt Yetto, informed us that the generator is from the 1960s. And it's still functioning properly, but it will need to be replaced at some point in the future. So eventually we'll be discussing a timeline and a plan for funding that replacement. At the wastewater treatment plant, as I reported last month, we have submitted paperwork to DEC for the approval to accept organic wastes other than the fats, oils, and greases that we're currently accepting. Since our last meeting, Superintendent Yetto has had some follow-up discussions with DEC, and we are anticipating their approval shortly. In the meantime, we continue to accept fats, oils, and greases from numerous companies that we've recently contracted with. And again, that's all in an effort to generate revenue and make our plant a net zero facility. Hydrant flushing began earlier this month and will continue in neighborhoods throughout the town through the end of May. Just so everybody is aware, hydrant flushing may cause discolored water, and that water is safe to consume, but clothes laundering is not recommended until the water clears up. A full list of zones and dates for each zone can be found on the water and sewer section of the town's website. Also on the agenda tonight, we have several resolutions for standard outside sewer user agreements. And those are agreements with residents who are currently on privately owned septic systems and now wish to tie into the town's wastewater system. And we also have a couple of fence easement agreements. These are agreements with residents who wish to put a fence on their property and a place where town crews may need to gain access to maintain our infrastructure. We'll also be voting tonight to permanently appoint Dan Bolke as our senior engineer. Dan's knowledge has been instrumental in the water and sewer department, especially at the wastewater treatment plant, as we continue our work there to make that a net zero facility. And we are happy to have him, of course, as part of our team. Resolutions to appoint an intern for the summer and a plant operator, as well as resolutions to replace pumps and equipment are also on the agenda this evening. And our next meeting will be tomorrow morning, Wednesday, May 1st at 8:30. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilmember Moskowitz. Moving on to Economic Development, Historic Preservation, and Environmental Conservation.
Yes, thank you, and good evening. We last met on April 12th, and we're going to be meeting this Friday, which I believe is May 3rd, right here in the Schaefer Room. Not a whole lot to add from last month to this month. We are following through on all of our grants that we have coming forward with Lions Park, our critical pedestrian grant, and of course, the linkage study grant, which is going to hopefully make a great headway in getting a plan for Route 7 and calming the traffic in that area. I do want to just take a minute to thank the comptroller supervisor as well as the head of the Water and Sewer Department for their very hard work in getting these sewer districts more in line with their respective costs. It was not very easy to do. I want to thank the supervisor for taking on problems that others don't want to take on. There's very good reasons why these problems linger because they require a lot of hard work and some hardship on our residents that nobody, of course, likes to see. And these problems, I mean, let's face it, the Water and Sewer Department is not the sexiest department in the town. People don't really pay a lot of attention to it. And that sometimes includes myself. I was kind of shocked that I didn't know all the numbers. And I'm thinking to myself, if I don't know all these numbers, how can we expect the townspeople to know them? So that was very informative. That presentation was informative. And I just want to thank all involved. Hopefully, anybody that is interested in economic development will come on our Friday meetings this Friday in the Schaefer Room. All are invited and encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember De La Rada. Okay.
I'm sorry, just quickly. Another hot topic, which we are trying to get our hands on, is the Airbnb issue that I know the residents, there's a lot of residential concern about that, and rightly so. And I just want to let the residents know that we are trying our best to nip that in the bud. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember De La Rada. Okay, I will wrap up with a few remarks and then we can get to privilege of the floor. Again, thanks for coming out. As town supervisor, I am focused on fiscal integrity, quality of life, and public safety. So I would like to take this opportunity to answer an important question several residents have asked me about over the past few weeks. And that is, will the town partner with the school district to enact a school resource officer program? Before I answer that specific question, I want to speak a little bit about my experience. I'm an educator. I've been in education for over 2 decades, and I have worked in a variety of settings. I began my teaching career as a special education teacher, working with students who have severe emotional differences, as well as mild to moderate learning differences. And I began my teaching career in South Central Los Angeles. I also have experience teaching fully inclusive general education classes. I have taught in urban settings where most of my students were learning English as a new language and were economically disadvantaged. And I've also taught in suburban districts that were experiencing demographic shifts to include more culturally, linguistically, and economically diverse students. My husband, as some of you may know, is a high school principal in the Capital Region, and he also has 2 decades of experience in education with a similar background as mine. And some of you may also know I'm a professor of education at University at Albany. I have seen the ever-evolving changes faced by schools, from harassing online activity to swatting threats. School leaders, teachers, we are faced with situations where we often benefit from law enforcement. Me personally, as a K-12 teacher, I greatly benefited from the SRO in our school building. Officer Jackson, rest his soul, he died during the COVID outbreak, one of the first people to die in our school district in Los Angeles. He was a beloved member of our community, the whole community, as well as the school community. He helped me become a better teacher, particularly during my first year. One student in my special education class, Marquise, he was having a particularly hard day. And what teachers are often taught in their first year is call the parents. Call the parents. So I go to my phone in the classroom to call his mom. This escalated him so much. It made the situation much worse. I didn't understand why. Officer Jackson came to my classroom and he explained to me that Marquise's mother had been in prison and was recently released, and he did not have a relationship with her. He was estranged from her. So by me saying, I'm going to call your mom, I'm going to call your parents, it escalated the situation. Officer Jackson taught me how to be a better teacher that day. He knew our school well. He knew our community well. He had incredible relationships with the students, families, faculty, staff, administration. So I also want to speak to you as in my experience as a researcher. I typically conduct research involving early education, children's transition to school. I study educational opportunity, family involvement. So I went and I read the research about SROs and their effectiveness in schools. The findings are mixed, but one thing is clear, there does seem to be disparity in racial and ethnic discipline where SROs are present. So some people might ask, scholars included, why? So when I'm reviewing the research and the recommendations for future research, scholars emphasize the importance of digging deeper, opening the black box and understanding how the different types of SRO programs, the characteristics of those SROs, and the ways in which school leadership use SROs most likely have an impact on the effectiveness of those programs and potential disparities in discipline. SROs should not be used for discipline. You see, when Officer Jackson came to my classroom because Marquise, his behavior was escalating, he didn't come there to help me discipline Marquise. He helped educate me on how to better help Marquise through this situation. That's a good SRO. That's a good program. My school leaders didn't advocate calling an SRO to pick a kid up out of class if they're misbehaving. No. Ms. Puccioni, you have to figure it out. You have to understand your kids and build a relationship with them. Get to know their families. Get to know the kids, build a relationship, have a behavior improvement plan, enact the plan, be consistent. So this brings me back to Officer Jackson. My first year teaching, I was probably, 22 and a half. No gray hair, no wrinkles. I had braces. I taught in middle school. I taught 6th through 8th grade. So my first day on campus, I'm walking thinking, first day teaching, and I get stopped. Why aren't you in uniform? What? I'm a teacher here. You're a teacher here. I looked like I could have been a student. So my students, they had to see me as a teacher. So Officer Jackson helped me be a better teacher. He lived in our community. He had family in the community. He worked as an SRO in our community. He was an officer of color, and he was able to bridge the divide between students and families, faculty and staff. So back to the question at hand. As town supervisor, yes, I am in support of partnering with our school district to help develop and implement a school resource officer program. The work our police department has done over the past 2 years, making incredible strides in procedural justice and community policing, coupled with our efforts to recruit and retain a diverse group of officers, make us uniquely situated to embark on creating something new, something dynamic that can support the needs of our school community. This program should be data-driven. I'm a data scientist, so of course I'm going to say that. I would recommend that the program collect data to determine its effectiveness and identify if there's any disparities in discipline. Basically, an inquiry cycle to make the program better each and every year. Because that's what good teachers do, that's what good school leaders do. And if we have a SRO program under my watch, that's what we will do. I also believe the program should be a team effort. So it's not just bringing an SRO into the school. We should have a community engagement specialist, someone who knows the community deeply, involved with youth and families, social workers, counselors. Together, it's a team effort. I have been in constant conversation with Councilmember Brennan, who's the chair of the Police and Public Safety Committee and who is a social worker in the district, as well as Chief Koshin, about this topic. And they both have incredible insights. I'm lucky to have them on the team. Frankly, the whole town is lucky to have them. We have been discussing possible staffing, training, and funding. For example, if and when the district decides to move forward with this, we could explore using funds from the new bus patrol fines to help partner in the funding of an SRO officer. It could be budget neutral for us. So, again, if and when the school district decides they want to partner with the town, I am ready and willing to do the work hand in hand because we are in this together. And that's all I have for that topic this evening. Okay, we will now move on to privilege of the floor. A few things. Our policy, we do not read statements from people who are not here. We had one individual email a request to submit something into the record. We met with the town attorney. This is the policy. It has been, since COVID policies have sunsetted, the town has not been reading remarks or statements from those who are not here, but they will be included in the meeting minutes. Also, we have a recommended 3-minute time limit for the sake of everyone here. So I ask that you please adhere to those recommendations. There'll be a light on the podium to indicate your time. And if you exceed the time, I may remind you and ask you to conclude your remarks. Okay? So let's be good citizens and good friends to each other and try to follow the guidelines. Okay. Thank you.
I do have a list of people that have contacted me. Peter Glasser. Peter's not here. Joe Moon. Yes.
I would like to start with the water bill had been a tax.
You gotta get as close to that as you can.
And please state your name and address so we can have it for the record.
Joseph Moon, 2080 Lexington Parkway. So initially, the water bill was in taxes. It's a deduction in your federal taxes. did you have the authority to remove it from that place to where now you put it as a fee? I just need an answer. If you had it,
Yes,
you do have
it
the
is.
authority
It
to
is.
do that?
It's the law, and deducting it from your taxes not allowed.
How did it happen to get where it was? And how many years ago did that happen?
I think in the past that not just our municipality, but other municipalities were doing that incorrectly, right? And now that there's been changes in salt, which are state and local taxes, which you really are able to, which you used to be able to deduct. You can't do that any longer. And the comptroller, again, as the supervisor said, brought it to our attention that even in your bills, like the only portion that should really be on a tax bill is a capital expense for, let's say, a capital improvement that was done at either your sewer plant or your drinking water treatment plant.
Is your explanation taking my time?
No.
Oh.
You asked a
Actually-
question, I tried to answer it for you,
Yes.
best of my
So
knowledge.
my next question or suggestion,
This is not, so moving forward, we're not doing a question and answer, okay? That's not the process. If you have a question, we can meet afterwards, or we can schedule a time to talk.
so initially I came here because my wife went to a beauty parlor. And she came home and she said the owner of the beauty parlor was quite upset. And I said, how upset? She said, I thought he might have had a heart attack. So what you have done in raising these fees, unintended consequences, we don't know if they've happened. You know they could happen. This person thinks he might have to lose his small business because his fee went well over $2,000 from, I think, it was 187. I guess I'm done. That's my comment.
Jessica?
Hi. Am I supposed to- I will, thank you. Thanks again for allowing me to speak tonight. My name's Jessica Jeffs. I have a 4th grader and 7th grader in Niskayuna. I'm also a 3rd grade teacher at Rosendale. I am here today to discuss the need for the Niskayuna School District to proactively and effectively address the increasing safety and security issues that are arising at all levels in our district. I would like our community to stand up to our Board of Ed and demand that the proposed 24-25 school budget include an SRO program. News Channel 6 recently interviewed our superintendent, Mr. Mummenthay. He was quoted as saying that a recent staff survey showed that more than 2/3 of our staff feel safe. Are we okay with 1/3 not feeling safe? Shouldn't we be doing everything so that 100% of our school staff and students feel safe? Some examples of schools with SRO programs in our area are Bethlehem, Scotia, Schenectady, Burnt Hills, Shenandoah, Guilderland, Colony, Saratoga, Mahonison, Ballston Spa, Shelmont. I could go on, but maybe just listing ones who don't would be easier. Districts without SRO programs are Niskayuna and Voorheesville. Why is this the case? These other districts all see the value and importance of having a qualified and trained SRO in our buildings that build relationships, provide consistency of protocols, and ensure safety. In that same interview, Mr. Mummenthay also stated that he couldn't point to a specific recent incident that led to our current advocacy for an SRO program. I'm here to tell you that there have been a multitude of specific incidents that have led the community members and families to reach out to the Board of Ed and the district over the past several years to shed light on the ways we are not safe and to advocate for an SRO program. What started this current community push is the lack of response and the incident that involved my daughter. I feel it is important to share with you an experience we had firsthand with my 7th grader and her friend, and how ill-equipped our district is at handling safety concerns effectively and, more importantly, in a timely manner. Back in December, my daughter shared with my husband and I that a student told her friend that he was going to shoot her and watch her blood spill over the floor. My daughter told him to stop. He turned to my daughter and said, "I will shoot you as well." I immediately emailed the principal and also contacted the parent of that student that he threatened, that parent. She then informed me that another parent had contacted the school before that. Another parent's daughter had come home that day, that Friday afternoon, and told her parents that a student made multiple threats throughout the day of coming to school and shooting the school, shooting kids at the school, and then going home and committing suicide. I'm going to get a little emotional, sorry. She had called at 4 p.m. on Friday, and she talked to an administrator in the building. My daughter was at that school at that time. She had stayed after school for a school program. Her other friend that was also threatened was there as well as many other students. Nothing was done to address it at that time. My husband showed up at the school Monday morning at 8 a.m. The school doors were propped open in multiple places. He walked into the building. No one stopped him. He made his way into the office. He had never been in the building before. And when he got there, he found out it was at that time that the administration was calling the student's family. The student was already on the bus to school that had made those threats. The police department had not been involved. My husband at that point said he was going to pull my daughter and her friend off the bus as they arrived. When we put our kids on the bus, we expect them to be safe and be taken care of. Our district right now is not equipped and is not following the procedures necessary when instances like this happen. I strongly believe that if we had an SRO program in our district, this would have been handled much differently. And this instance could have ended much differently. That student needed some help. And something bad could have happened over the weekend. Something bad could have happened Friday after school. And something bad could have happened Monday morning. After that incident, the other family and my family met with the principal, the superintendent, and spoke to multiple times to the Board of Ed, requesting an SRO program. When community members started hearing about our advocacy, they started sharing their stories and how they too had spoken to the Board of Ed, emailed, and done what we had done. We started the community petition that has garnished over 1,000 signatures. This petition came as a result of our voices and the countless voices that have come before us that have not been heard or responded to by the Niskayuna School District. I urge the town and the community to take a stance and demand the district add an SRO program to the proposed 2024-2025 school budget. I know you will agree that the safety of our children is most important of all. Thanks again for your time.
Mahmood? Mahmood? Chrissy?
Do I press this or do you?
It should reset.
It'll reset, yeah.
Wait, it's going already. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Chrissy Harper, and I live in Niskayuna with my husband, Eddie, and our 3 daughters. I moved to Niskayuna when I was hired at Craig School as a teacher. Eddie and I bought our first home in Niskayuna in 2006 when we were just 24 years old, and we've chosen to stay and make it our home and raise our children here. My reason for speaking tonight is that I would like to request that the town and the police department team with us as many parents in supporting a school resource officer program. We as residents would love to support the town's efforts in partnering with our schools for a stronger community. Last April, in 2023, I wrote to the Board of Education inquiring why we don't have SROs and asking the district to consider implementing them. And then in this past December, we had an incident at Iroquois Middle School that was just spoken about. It involved a serious threat to the school community as a whole and specific threats to our students, including our 7th grade daughter. The district did not seem to have a threat assessment plan in place. The district's reaction lacked action, transparency, communication, and follow-up. Ultimately, we and other parents filed a police report. The department handled the report swiftly and professionally. And as part of that concern, we and the police department discussed how that student could get help as well. The incident propelled us in our advocacy to formally invite officers into our district through an SRO program. Sadly, as mentioned, our advocacy has been met with resistance from the district leadership and the Board of Education. We have since met other families who have also been fighting for SRO programs. Some of them that we've met said they started this movement in 2018. More research led me to speak with former administration who shared that his advocacy can actually be tracked back to the early 2000s, when for a short time we did have a resource officer. Nonetheless, here we are almost 25 years after that, and we're still falling short of the resources and protection that our neighboring school districts and towns are offering to their school community. Do you know that approximately 1/4 of our town's population can be found on our school campuses during school hours? Why is the district hesitant to partner with our distinguished police department to provide an opportunity to build community and to offer an added layer of protection to our most precious population? I grew up in a very similar town, a suburb just 90 miles west of here. They are a nationally ranked school, they are a lovely community, and they have an SRO in all 7 of their buildings at all times. And they have done that for years now. What makes us different than my hometown and all of the towns on the list that I have provided to you? Furthermore, it makes Niskayuna a less desirable place to live. Just last week, my husband's coworker, who is considering where to live with his young family, asked us about Niskayuna and if we're happy with the schools. Well, we love Niskayuna. I am sad to admit that I couldn't wholeheartedly endorse a school district that currently has a Board of Education and district leadership who is unwilling to listen to their stakeholders. The community has spoken. We currently have a petition with over 1,000 signatures that spread simply through word of mouth. So I come here as somebody who loves this town and want to continue to live here. I'm a concerned citizen who wants to share that this could impact the town and its real estate and its reputation. The number of friends that we have in our neighborhood who are pulling their kids from the district and choosing to send them to private schools seems to be growing each year. I feel it's the right time. We have the right leadership in our town. We have the right leadership in our police department. We can make this program a success if implemented correctly. The town of Niskayuna has so much to offer. Let's work together. Let's partner with our schools and continue to have a community that we can be proud and comfortable to call home. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everything that you do for our town.
Matt Luther?
I don't have to hit a button or anything. It just starts on its own. Okay. Good evening. My name is Matt Luther, and I've been a resident of Niskayuna for over 15 years. I first would like to express my gratitude for your dedication and service to our town. I currently have 3 children who attend Birchwood Elementary. As most of you are aware, I, along with a group of parents, are advocating for school resource officers, SROs, in our schools in Niskayuna. We've made phone calls, sent countless emails, and participated in numerous school board meetings to voice our concerns. Yet the school board has not provided us with a definitive response. Our advocacy efforts date back to 2018 when a similar group of parents raised concerns about school safety due to various incidents within the district. As you are aware, the educational landscape is constantly changing. Today's schools are vastly different from when we were students. In an era dominated by social media and where threats of violence are unfortunately common occurrences in our schools, the necessity for SROs is becoming increasingly evident. Our school district leaders have consistently overlooked our pleas for change. It's disheartening that the safety and well-being of our children aren't being prioritized. We should be expecting the best there is to offer, not the bare minimum. I aspire to live in a community that prioritizes the protection of our most valuable asset, our children. I urge you, the leaders of our town, to stand behind our cause and provide your support in initiating an SRO program. With your support, we will continue in our efforts to create safer schools and foster a stronger community for all. I'll leave you with a quote from the great UCLA men's basketball coach, John Wooden. As a leader, you must be sincerely committed to what's right rather than who's right. Thank you.
Beth Peters.
Hello. My name is Beth Peters. First of all, thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight and for all that you do for our town of Niskayuna. My family and I relocated to Niskayuna from Boston in December of 2020. We have 3 children, 2 attend Rosendale and 1 attends Kitty Carr Nursery School. One of the reasons we chose to move to Niskayuna was because of the superior reputation it has as a school and a community. If I'm speaking honestly, it wasn't an easy transition. We loved where we lived, and we loved the private school that we attended in Boston. However, over time, we learned to find all of the things that we loved about our old community here in Niskayuna. 4 years later, and I can honestly say that we feel at home. We love all that this community has to offer, including the recreational sports programs, summer camps. We attend the Easter Bunny Parade every year, and we watch Santa go by in the fire trucks. 2 of my kids are all really looking forward to Niska Day in a few weeks. 2 of my boys participate in Cub Scouts, which has allowed us to meet firsthand the exceptional police and fire departments that serve our community. We met the police chief at the preschool library hour, and my kids have enjoyed the Read with a Cop in the schools. My family and I also enjoy biking and walking on the bike path on weekends. From an educational standpoint, Niskayuna schools have met our expectations. My children have had outstanding teachers and have received additional services when needed. All of this being said, if the school and community are not doing everything in their power to provide a safe environment, then nothing else matters. Safety is above all else. For many months, even years, community members have been expressing the need of SROs to the school board. The lack of response and the lack of action from the Board of Education, in my opinion, has been dismissive. After many concerned parents came forward, the board has finally agreed to a costly review of the need for more safety measures, something I understand that was already completed in years past. While I am not here to argue all of the benefits that would come from implementing an SRO program, I am here to express to you my concerns about the school's lack of action to listen to its constituents and put safety above all else. I am speaking from a place of concern and a place of hope that more support might lead to better results. Further, this is not just a district issue. This directly impacts the reputation of the town of Niskayuna. My husband and I are now at a place where we are questioning our move to a community where safety is not the priority and where a Board of Education dismisses the concerns of parents, teachers, and students. I am saddened to admit we have considered moving back to our home in Boston or sending our kids to a private school in the area. Further, when our friends who currently attend a private school asked me about my experience with Niskayuna schools, I was unable to say confidently that I would recommend this district. It is my hope that the support of the town, the Board of Education will reconsider the implementation of an SRO program. This would not only improve the school-community relationship, but also provide another layer of safety for our children, teachers, and administrators. Thank you for your time.
Dana Breezy.
Just a couple of quick things here. Jamie, I had asked you in the past to address the franchise fee from Spectrum. And also, and I probably should speak with you, I noticed that when I got my water and sewer bill, it was X number of gallons for water and the same number for sewer. Well, what if I'm watering my lawn or washing the car? That's not going in the sewer.
I can talk to you afterwards.
Okay. That's it.
Gail King.
Hello. Gail King, Niskayuna, home, business, and property owner. You did get my attention when we opened our water and sewer bills. We had 4 of them, all double, triple, quadrupled. The largest one was 2215 Knott Street, the business. And it went from $300 to $1,176. And that's just for 6 months. I have a lot of questions. You have told us what we need to do on our end to try to take the expense down. The water and sewer, I've lived here for 50 years, so I've watched all the growth and what you've done with it and what we need to do to catch up. The water and sewer department has pretty much had their own agenda, asking for and receiving without question replacements of broken parts, new employees, making promises that the adjustments in the long run will save us money. This is the result. Sudden bill increases 3-4 times the last rates charged, due now. Our water and sewer department needs a deep audit made public. Is this a permanent charge? Will this water and sewer department need even more money next year? What's the plan? We need a town board and a planning board that asks questions and knows what the answers should be. A town board asking for more tax money does not fix this problem. Paying our town employees more money does not fix this problem. But Metroplex has a substantial sum of our tax money marked to encourage business to join our community. A drowning small community that has a very small and broken water and sewer system and drainage problems. The well is dry, as you say. Encouraging Metroplex's help in correcting some very big mistakes, Metroplex could eventually continue to advertise Niskayuna as a reasonable place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Ashok.
My name is Ashok Ramasubramanian. I live with my wife and 2 kids in 2023 Arcona Court, and I've been a Niskayuna resident for about 14 years now. And I came to tonight's meeting to learn more about the water issue. So I serve on the Conservation Advisory Council, and we talk about environmental matters a lot. Water is a precious resource. And tonight's meeting, the supervisor explained that the costs were artificially low. And then she started the meeting with an apology about the miscommunications that had happened. And then town officials spoke about the issue in detail. and spoke about the water meters in people's house and how they're coming house to house and identify leaks and such like that. That's a very good service, I think. I'm going to avail myself of that service. So I feel like this feels to me like an example of town government working well. Mistakes happen. Everyone makes mistakes. I have made my fair share. It's what happens after mistakes are made that's important. And in this case, I think it's being addressed well with expertise and with elected officials and town employees pitching in to move towards a resolution. And at least to me, it feels like town government working well. Thank you.
Bill Chapman.
Thank you. William Chapman. I'm at 1465 Clifton Park Road. I would like to speak on behalf of the resolution 2024-118 that you're doing tonight, which is accepting the Mohawk River State Park to be owned and maintained by the town of Niskayuna. I think this is a tremendous move by the town. This park is a tremendous resource for all of us. And it's a passive park, will be forever wild, and it has so many positive features. When people come to visit me in Niskayuna, they love going to the Mohawk River Park. They like to see the lock especially, but they like to see the lock operate. They see it's fascinating. The river offers a lot of wildlife. A lot of people fish there. You can see the birds there. You have a big expanse of the Mohawk River so that you can see the ice in the wintertime. You can go there in any season of the year, and there are things to enjoy there: summer, winter, spring, fall. There are lots of folks, as I mentioned, that fish there. You can see the birds. I've been there when the scouts have had exhibitions of scout skill events that they have done at the park. I have gone with Troop 31 that my kids went through to do cleanups at the park. I know there are many volunteer organizations that will be volunteers to help clean the park up. And, if there are trail maintenance things that have to be done, we'll do it. Being close to us and under the supervision of the town, you've got volunteers that can do things. So it's not a matter of maintenance. You've got people that would love to do it, that are familiar with nature and would know how to do that. It also has the bike path that goes through it, so people can hop off their bicycles to picnic. And as someone 72 on the way to 73, I'm grateful that they have a bathroom there. I believe the trails will be better maintained. There are old growth trees that you can see there, so there'll be a lot of nature will be available to town residents. The trails will be better maintained. We also are doing a connecting path from River Road Park on Seneca Lane, and across from that is a spur that goes into the Mohawk River Park, which will allow residents to get access to the Mohawk Hudson bike path. And so that's a good thing. Also, the green space, really kids walking to school, having green space is such a value to residents, just to walk there, to see nature, to breathe some air. And the beauty is, we don't have to drive an hour north or west. It's right here in town. You can hop in your car and take your kids there, spend an hour there. It's the same as the Elisha Kill Park on Rosendale Road. And I do believe that we're learning more about the psychological benefits of being in nature, being able to walk to school, and having this park. It really adds to the green space to the town. It adds a real resource to me. It's a tremendous move, and I'm just glad that the board has expended the energy to speak to the state and to ask their permission to give ownership of this park to the town of Niskayuna, and it's going to be a wonderful resource. So thank you for doing that.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, you can come to the podium and state your name.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Yekel. I live at 914 Roman Ave. I'm right over by Bellevue Women's Hospital. And first of all, I want to thank you for the presentation. I had sent some questions to the supervisor's office, including I wanted to break down somewhat of what I see for the water and usage analysis. So I appreciate you doing that. I think that's informative for the town board members and the residents to look at charts like this to see kind of where they fall in the water usage range. This kind of tells half the story because it doesn't share with the viewer what they would have paid under the old rate design. So this is half of the story, but not the complete story. But I wanted to touch on a couple of different things that were brought up. I know the supervisor had said that the $63 increase was for minimum use, and I believe, to paraphrase, that you guys didn't put that in your notice or as you discussed it. But I want you to think about that. You're shaking your head no.
It was discussed. It wasn't in the press release.
That's what I mean. It was discussed, yes. So I think there's something really important that we need to recognize.
Discussed publicly many times.
Okay. So when we talk about that $63, and I know at the last meeting, Mr. Delarado, you expressed some shock that there was bills that were $400 or $500 over. So, looking at the charts here, when we break down and see what that minimum use level is, if we go to the water usage analysis, there's 7,727 accounts that are listed out here. Only about 13% of the accounts for water usage are in the minimum use. So if that was used as an example to kind of to frame up what people were going to be experiencing for a rate increase, you didn't talk about the other 87%, because for everyone that's over that 13% that's a minimum use user, they're all seeing an incrementally higher and higher bill for numerous reasons, because all these inputs to the rate design have changed. So that's just on water. When we look at Sewer District 1, it's about 25% of those users out of the 2179 accounts are minimum use. So the other 75% of users are paying that 63 plus more. And the people that are on the higher end of the scale here, over 50,000 gallons of use, are really hammered the hardest of all in both water districts and both sewer districts, because the maximum cap was removed in the new rate design. There was a cap at 50,001 gallons, which has gone away in the new rate design. So for people that are using beyond that, they're being charged a higher rate past the 50,001 gallons. The maximum rate was $153.50. That equated to 50,000 gallons at $3.07 a gallon. It was straight math. That equation has gone out the window now. People are being billed beyond. So people using more than 50,000 gallons are really getting hit even harder. And so when you look at a chart like this, you may say, well, it's only 153 people that are using more than 45,000 and 16 people that are using over 91,000. That's why you're seeing people that are saying, hey, I got a bill that's $800 or $900 or $1,000 more just this billing cycle. It's because there's no cap. So it's basically an open spigot on the billing. When we look at Sewer 6, again, you're looking at 22% of the people are minimum use, and that's my district. I'm Sewer 6. So 78% of the people are beyond minimum use. So they're all paying way more than that $63, and it's really in the hundreds of dollars that they're paying each billing cycle. So just a couple other things I want to touch on. I know the supervisor said that, these rates haven't been raised in years, but they have. They may not have been raised substantially, but I'm going to throw some more numbers at you because I've got all my bills here. The Sewer District 6 rate has gone up 4 times in 4 years. It was $62.50. It went to $63. It went to $64.47 last billing cycle. It's now $79. The rate per 1,000 gallons was $2.50 in 2019. It went to $3 in 2020. It went to $3.07 in 2022. It's now at $3.55. The minimum use level level on the other end has collapsed. And so when we talk about shrinkflation, this is what's happened. The minimum use level for Sewer District 6 was 25,000 gallons back in 2019. That collapsed by 4,000 gallons to 21,000 gallons in 2021, and it's dropped now to 14,235. And the calculation that's being used now to bill people at a higher rate, not the 307, but 355, is now being based on the delta between how much water they use and this new minimum level. It's not straight math where if you use 34,000 gallons, you got billed at 307 times 34. You're now billed at 355 times the delta between the 14,000 and the 33. That's like 19,000 gallons. And you're also getting hit with this new minimum use fee. So these rates have gone up, and they've gone up even when you look at water. Water was 253, 307, now it's 440. So all these rates have gone up. And when we talk about things like the minimum use cost, it's gone up from $30 to $78 for water rates. When you break that down, as was said by the supervisor, that $30 rate before was based on 9,773 gallons of water. Can I speak for just 1 minute and I'll wrap up? So that equated to $3.07 a gallon. The rate right now is $78, but the minimum use level has dropped to 9,490 gallons. That equates to $8.21 per thousand gallons. To me, that's very arbitrary. It's the same thing that's happened with the sewer district rates. It was $64.47, and that equates to $3.07 per thousand gallons for 21,000 gallons. That has now gone up to $79 for 14,235. That's $5.54 per thousand gallons. So there's things that have happened with this rate design that have altered what people are paying in their bills, and it's well beyond the $63 minimum. And I think if you focused on those numbers and you didn't focus on the 75 to 80% of the residents and businesses that really got socked by this, you did an injustice and a disservice to every one of them. I know you may have tried to do the right thing, but the answer here is not to try and get everything all at once. It's too much too soon. If there were problems with the budget, you could have done some things incrementally. For example.
Thank you, sir. I
Sir,
think we
you've
have to move
exceeded
on
your
to the
limit.
next person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Edward Layton. I'm at 37 Alva Road, and I'm a 20-year resident of Niskayuna, so I've seen the growth, even in my own neighborhood over here in Edison Woods. A lot of the houses weren't built, and I'll get into that in a minute. Regarding the school resource officer, early in my career with my wife, she was also a teacher and third grade teacher in Los Angeles Unified School District in Hoover School, and I think it was 81st School, third grade teacher. We moved to Connecticut, and I was working in Danbury, and we lived in Newtown, and my wife was a teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and we moved here 2 years before the incident with Adam Lanza. And with our last name, the 5th, 6th grade school in Newtown, my son's picture is almost right next to Adam Lanza's picture. So I know what people are going through with the concern over the need for school resource officer. And it's not so much for the, it's really a deterrent effect that if the community knows that there's a resource at the school, that in and of itself is a deterrent. I'm a member of the Jewish community. I was in Israel in February on a solidarity trip. I know what deterrence is like, and during high holidays, we have security at the synagogue in Schenectady. But getting on to the water bills, so my bill went up, but all my kids are grown up. They're out of college. They're fully working. And I used 31,000 gallons this past 6 months. And I think you're going to have a lot of lawns that are brown this summer, because I'm not going to be able to pay for the tremendous amount of water. I have an in-ground sprinkler system. It probably runs about 1,000 gallons a day if I run it. And last summer was very wet, so I didn't really have to run it. So you're going to have that. And then I'd like to know how much revenue is being raised on the water bills related to this new billing cycle? And is there going to be a commensurate reduction in the budget from the town that's raised through the taxes to compensate for the difference? And then also, some of the commenters had some suggestions about, okay, we're raising revenue, but where are we looking at saving cost? And I recently retired from GE, and I know this is public knowledge, but the wastewater from the research center, there's a high pressure water sewer main that goes up to a lift station behind Crimson Oak. That lift station used pumps to pump wastewater up to Balltown Road to the lift station all the way down by Schwaber. And then from Schwaber, it gets pumped back through Cary Court, through Edison Woods, and it ends up out Edison Drive and River Road. And from there, it's gravity fed along with Capel down to the wastewater plant. So if you're looking to save some money, there might be an opportunity to take the lift station behind Crimson Oak, reroute that main maybe across Van Antwerp over into Edison Woods, and you minimize the electrical cost of pumping. And then lastly, so since I'm here, the houses on the side that back up to Van Antwerp have a tremendous drainage problem. And every year the water, and they're all septic systems. They're all septic systems, and the water flows downhill between the houses out on Alva Road. And every year we have to call the town to get the ice broken up. And this past winter was the worst in terms of the ice breakage. Now, I went out and talked to the town workers one day, and they said they elevated it to engineering to look at the drainage issue, but it goes on and on and on. And one of the previous owners got severely ill from a failed septic system from one of the houses on Van Antwerp. So if you can go back to the town engineers department and ask the status of the drainage issue on Alva Road, I'd really appreciate it. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Marina Franchild. I've lived in Niskayuna for about 18 years. I live on Dean Street. I know almost everybody on the board. I've worked with most of you in one way or another. I appreciate what's been shared today, because I came here with 5 pages. I didn't know we had a 3-minute thing, 5 pages of comments, and I'm not using, obviously, I'm just speaking extemporaneously. I do appreciate the understanding. However, having said that, what the gentleman, is he still here? What this gentleman, I don't know your name, what he said, I really think it should be looked into. I think he made a lot of sense. I'd like to just talk emotionally what this has done to the residents, including myself. It was a shock. It was a shock. Just like the town has to balance the budget, individuals like myself have to pay bills. Individuals like myself, and I'm anal. I have a spreadsheet. I have line items for every one of my household expenses. If I know I have a $12,000 car bill coming up, I'll put aside $50 a month if I can put it off for a year, or put $1,000 aside. I'm very, very fiscally responsible. So I didn't think it was fair. I'm just being honest right now. I didn't think it was fair for the regular resident to bear the brunt for malfeasance on the part of the town board. And I'm using the word malfeasance deliberately because I find it hard to understand, and I am angry, I'll be honest about it. I wasn't going to speak emotionally, but what the heck. The fact is that there was COVID, there was an interim controller, but before that, there were a couple of people on this board who were here like 5 years ago, and I knew Paul Sebesta because I'm the commissioner of Dean Street Park, and I worked with him. To use a pejorative expression, but I don't mean it in a bad way, he was a bean counter. He was very, very good with numbers. He was very, very careful with numbers. How could he not have understood the implications, the cascading effect of this? There's no way he couldn't have known, and there's no way that people that were on the town board at the time couldn't have understood this. So I don't understand why the town board was dismissive when Matt was telling people that we couldn't sustain the 0.307 or the 0.30, whatever it was. I can't understand why that wasn't heeded. However, it's been explained that lessons were learned, in terms of communication, in terms of not sending out a letter, which should have gone out with the bill. I understand people have apologized. Great. The thing is, there's not real transparency, and the buck is being passed literally and figuratively to the residents of this town. People do not have an extra $1,000 lying around. They just don't have it, or an extra $2,000. So my recommendation is that I know there's a resolution that's going to come to extend the date for payment of this new utility bill through July. My recommendation is that recommendation be modified to for people that can't pay it by July, that something be worked out so that they can pay it when they can pay it without penalty. So that's the first thing that I want to say. The second thing I want to talk about SROs, and this is totally extemporaneous. I heard what everybody said. If I had a child in school that was facing a threat of violence, I would feel very similarly. However, there's another threat of violence that also has to be part of the conversation. When a person is a BIPOC person, a Black, Indigenous, or other person of color, they live in fear that they're going to get caught up in systemic racism that's going to get them caught up in a pipeline from school to prison. That's just the reality of living in racist America. So when you talk about SROs, that has to be considered also, and all people, including people of color, have to be considered so that there's fairness and equity, and that while kids that look like me don't feel threatened, kids that don't look like me also don't feel threatened, because just look at statistics. I've been tutoring at Green Correctional since 2015, or teaching there, and I'm telling you, 90% of the population is Black and brown, and there's a reason for that, and it's not because Black and brown people are evil, it's because of systemic racism, and I feel very, very strongly about that. In terms of the police that we have here in Niskayuna, I was so thrilled to meet Jordan Cochan and find out that there were really good cops. So it's not like I don't think that cops can be good. I think cops can be fantastic, but systemically, police departments are known to have serious problems. So what if Jordan got a job somewhere else? My point is this has to be done in a systemic way and understanding all societal impacts. The last thing I want to say is frivolous, but I have to say it because I have an opportunity. On Van Antwerp, right across the street from CVS, there's a fountain that bubbles every summer, and there are 2 weeping cherries that have been dying slowly over the years, and somebody needs to do something about it, either cut them down or get them pruned or do something. It looks horrible. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Scordino. I live at 1240 Milton Keynes, next door to 1230 Milton Keynes, which is the short-term rental that we've been talking about. So our group has been we've been to the planning board meeting the last few nights, or the last 2 meetings that they've had. And I appreciate the fact that it sounds like now Niskayuna is going to take on the job of making regulations for the short-term rentals. I want to speak about 2 parts of this problem. One, I think, is the long-term solution, which the planning board is going to work on, and I appreciate that. My opinion, and I think that a lot of these community members would probably support, is that there should be a rule that there is no short-term rentals in zoned residential portions of Niskayuna. The second part is a more immediate problem. Right now, this is just, in our neighborhood, but this is a real problem that we're dealing with every weekend. It's rented for the next 18 weekends of the summer into mid-September, and it's a problem. So we're asking for your guys' help. The town planner has said, this is a 6 to 12 month solution, but what is going to happen over the summer? That's where we need your help in some way to intervene. So first, in the long-term plan of the legislation, as I said, something's going to be developed with that. I think that I would keep it really simple. I would make a registry so you know what properties are out there, and you can make sure that they're safely being rented. Next door, they're renting to 16 people. That can't be safe. The key that I think really is the next step, which is that there should be no short-term rentals, less than 30 days, in zoned residential areas of Niskayuna. If people want to have a business, we support businesses, have that in the commercial area. But you should not be able to have a business of buying a big house with the sole purpose of renting it out every weekend to groups of people so that they can have parties. It's just crazy. The problem that we're seeing next door, the town has been active, and I appreciate that. They've met with the owners. Airbnb has been involved. They've met with the owners. They've talked with them. And the owners have explicitly said, we are strictly forbidding parties. They said this on Monday. This is a picture from Saturday when there's 14 cars there. So they had a U-Haul pulling in extra chairs and drinks for the event. I mean, this was last weekend. 2 weekends ago, there was 7 carloads of people. They're socializing late at night and waking us up from a dead sleep because there's people out yelling and laughing and waking us up. So my point here is not to belabor the point that this particular property is a party property that is, every time it's rented to groups of people that have parties that are very disruptive to our community. My point is that this particular property is a known problem. The town is active with them. The Airbnb is telling them, you can't have parties or we're going to shut you down. This is a property that's being watched, and this is what's happening. So when you make regulations, when it comes to you guys or at the town board or the planning committee, when you're making these regulations, you just need to stop it before it even starts and have it so that there's no short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods in Niskayuna. I think that's just what's best for Niskayuna. You know, it's hard to get people to come to these meetings. I support the resource, that the officers that we have young kids that are going to come through Niskayuna too. And, I think that's good. It's hard to get people to come to these meetings, but if you ask anyone in Niskayuna, nobody wants this in the neighborhoods. Nobody wants this next door to them. So that's the kind of the long-term solution. The last thing that I'll say in closing is what's the short-term plan? We've been told to call Airbnb. 5 different houses called Airbnb this weekend. We've been told to call the police when it's loud at night. That's after 9 p.m. So when I'm looking into this summer, what's going to happen all day long when, all the 30 people or the 40 people or however many people they have at their house now go outside of the pool? I mean, I'm trying to plan my July 4th weekend. I don't actually want to be home in my own yard to spend with my kids because next door is already rented out. Like I said, it's the next 18 weekends. So I'm sorry to get emotional, but we can't just be told this is what's going to happen 6 months to a year. I'm asking for your help.
Thank you.
Go.
3 minutes to that gentleman over there to finish what he was said. I'll give you my 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Greg Frick. I've never come to one of these meetings before. I was curious because I wanted to hear more about what you're talking about, the water and sewer usage. Looking at the chart in front of me, it says Sewer 6 usage analysis. Is there a suggestion that this is analyzing the usage for water and sewer? It says that. It's not in any way estimating the usage of the sewer. If you wanted to estimate the usage of the sewer, you have data on who has swimming pools. You have data on who has sprinkler systems. You have data on how many people are in a household. You said you spent 6 months or a year analyzing this data. What'd you look at? Okay. Somebody said in the last meeting that sewer usage was extrapolated from water usage. I'm not trying to be insulting, but look up the meaning of extrapolated. You can't extrapolate when you don't know anything about one set of data. We know nothing about sewer usage. Okay. So that's one point. My second point is I've called 5 times now and asked to speak to someone about our usage. Nobody's gotten back to me. I've seen it in the paper that, it's been reported that you're really working hard at getting back to people. I started calling over 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I accept I'm on the bottom of the Quabe, whatever, somebody's got to get back to me. Okay, and thirdly, not going to go into bragging about what schools I went to or anything else, but I've got a good background in math and statistics, okay, and research. And I do know, from what I understand, that the only people who looked at the data were people who are on this group. It might have made sense to get someone in who was an outsider and see if they could offer some help. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eliza Misbahi. I didn't really look at my house water bill, but like Gail, my Knott Street property was really hard. I tried to figure it out because I realized that they said that you took part of the sewer charge off of the property tax bill. So I looked to my past 2 years property tax bill, but I don't see any significant change in the sewer charge. But my bill went from, and I'm a minimum user because nobody uses any of the water in that building on Knott Street because it was pretty much empty for a long time. So my minimum usage went from $60 to $1,800, well, actually $1,900, because there's very little water used except when my girls are home in the apartment. But so I used to just be the minimum 30 for the 6 months, but then I got hit with 312 base charge for water and 620 for the sewer, which wasn't there before. And you didn't compare to last year, like when we got the bill, it's so confusing to understand why there's such a difference or what the difference is. But I know now that I went from 60 to nearly 2,000 for just the Knott Street building. And then I don't understand the difference between Sewer District 1 and 6. And I've been to the town board, to the hall twice to try and get information because like the gentleman before me, I ain't got a call back either. And people at the town hall are so nice. Every single person I come into contact with when I enter this building is so nice. And I appreciate that. And a lot of them were confused too. And I'm looking at the charts, and I'm not as smart as a lot of people in Niskayuna. I don't have a PhD like a lot of folks do. My dad did. But I know math, and I still can't figure it out why it's double for us in Sewer District 1 than Sewer District 6. And I called, and I guess it's more expensive because we're on the city, but you guys talked about fair and equitable, and that just doesn't seem fair or equitable, especially when you look at the budgeted versus actual chart, because it looks like we're not that bad in Sewer District 1 compared to 6, but I don't know. To me, in Sewer District 1, in the cheap seats in Niskayuna, we pay the same for our, sometimes things just cost less in certain areas. I think that the rates for water and sewer should be consistent throughout the district. I understand it might cost more in District 1, but like the trash fee, the yard waste fee that never existed before, it cost us the $61, just like it cost my dad up on Merlin Drive, but he's got nearly 2 acres. That's 60, like sometimes it's just cheaper for services in one area and in Sewer District 1, we're densely packed there. So you get economies of scale with us. Give us a break. Charge us the same as you charge your neighbors in 6. Just doesn't seem fair or equitable to me. And I don't understand why us with the commercial buildings went from $60 to nearly $2,000. But I guess I know that non-homestead buildings always get hosed. At least you aren't closed on your assessment. I pay nearly $1,000 a month in taxes on that building on Knott Street. And I've got one bathroom that's used maybe once a day. The toilet flushes there because I got a tenant. But now it's $2,000 for the year for me. I don't know why.
Good evening. Charlene Shaheen, I live on Webster Drive. I have the same concerns as everybody about the astronomical prices that we've suddenly been hit with. So I'd like to ask you, because I'd been reading about it in the paper and I thought you already passed it, on Resolution 2024-126, you're looking at raising your salaries. Please don't. It has a committee. I don't know. That's what was in the paper, that the board was looking at raising your salaries. If not, I'm very happy to hear you aren't, because we're certainly paying enough. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Marion Jackson, 940 Inman Road. I'm up here to speak about Milton Keynes. A month ago, we were here and you weren't aware of the Airbnb on Milton Keynes. We've attended a couple of meetings, planning and zoning meetings since then. I believe that the town doesn't know how to handle this problem. And I don't hold that against you. I think it's a phenomena. It might be an epidemic in the community if we don't get a hold of what we can do to curtail this situation. I was at the planning board meeting last night and I sat through the entire meeting, and then at the end, the group discussed Milton Keynes. Well, they discussed issues statewide, interstate situations, Long Island, what other people do regarding the B&Bs. They kind of went back and forth about this and about that, but they really weren't addressing Milton Keynes. And after they spoke, it became apparent to me that we can't really wait 6 months or a year or whatever for the planning board to make a decision so they can make a recommendation to the town board. My thought on the whole situation after listening to all the issues last night is that we're being victimized. We shouldn't have to wait 6 months or a year for the planning board and the town board to make a decision on how to handle this situation. I sympathize with you totally. My recommendation is that you shut them down this summer. I don't think we need to deal with the situation. And after you come to some conclusions about what needs to be done with the Airbnbs in Niskayuna, then put them back in business. The property on Milton Keynes is residential. It's an R1. The owners are not living there, and they're using it as a commercial enterprise. That's totally wrong. That is totally wrong. I think it's just such a simple thought that it shouldn't be allowed. I'm advocating for you within the next month to make a decision on how you're going to handle this. Don't put our community, our residents, people that live adjacent to this property through 16, 18 weekends of parties like we saw this past weekend. It's just not fair. And I think that you need to address it, and I think you need to figure out what you're going to do, but not at the expense of the residents, the people that live adjacent to this property. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you for your service. Mario Pantalone, 930 Inman Road. I'm here to speak about the short-term rental, and there's not much we can do about it now for Milton Keynes, but we need the whole town to band together because it could happen in anybody's neighborhood. It could be anybody's back house, side yard. And I look out my back window and I see the cars in the driveway, the lights, the cars driving down Inman Road. And I know you guys are aware of what's going on. And we appreciate that we're going to do something. But we have to do it for the rest of the town. Right now, somebody could go right next to your house or yours or yours. And it's not a pleasant sight. It really isn't. Thank you for your time.
Hey, how we doing today, guys? I'm coming here, Brett Hudson over on Niskayuna Drive. I was here a couple weeks ago, and a lot of decisions. Obviously, there's definitely a lot of decisions. You look at the schools, you look at what's going on with the Airbnbs, businesses, you're hearing the economic and planning, real estate, school safety. A lot of it ties into do with money and decisions that are actually made. The water bill. It's you. As far as doing all you can do for whether it's the water bill or whether it's the schools, we know that there's got to be choices that are made, and unfortunately, it just seems like more and more, all it is like, hey, let's just raise everything. Let's raise prices. Let's raise school taxes. Let's raise property taxes. Let's raise water bills, and once again, it's not how anybody else runs their household. Right? But we're being told we just have to do it. We have to deal with our own expenses, whether it's property insurance or groceries, right? Whether it's sending our kids to school and making sure that everyone's safe. You want a good school. That's why everyone moves to Niskayuna. But I heard a lot of people talk about black eyes and not wondering if Niskayuna was the right place for their kids, right? I know Niskayuna is the right place for my kids. I've got a kid in kindergarten, middle school, and high school. It's a great place. It's a great community. And they do a lot of good things. But where's the reality in which all of us have to take care of each other? Instead of just increasing, the bill for every cost of living, we're kind of just skipping over it. We're not paying attention to the average person. The Airbnb, what's going to happen when all the snowbirds go down south? And they were, maybe they weren't trying to make extra money, but now they will be this year because, hey, we're going to have to increase our revenue, and they'll use Airbnb. Our businesses who are having thousands of dollars in charges, are they going to want to stay in business here, or are they going to want to go further down on Knott Street in Schenectady? I just kind of came back because I'm hearing things, and there's a lot of issues, and everything I'm hearing about, like today, it's definitely a more involved meeting. It involves money, but it also involves making sure we're planning for all of it. Okay. That's all I really wanted to say. Our schools are important. I like the teachers that came out. I thought that was great messages, but let's think about all these things, please. That's all. All right. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
All right. If there's no one else left to speak for privilege of the floor, we'll move on to resolutions. No one wants to stay for resolutions? All right, starting with resolution number 2024-104, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring student workers in the town's engineering, water, and sewer department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-105, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing an outside user agreement with the owners at 2804 Aqueduct Road.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-106, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring seasonal laborers in the town's Parks and Highway Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-107, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution permanently appointing a senior civil engineer.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Ma'am, did you want to speak during privilege of the floor?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear what you said when you said about the resolution for the water bill and that. Is everybody getting up and leaving? Is that resolved?
No, we have not.
The last
No, that
resolution
was-
was about hiring summer employees in the highway department.
Did you say something about the water,
It was
the water and sewer?
Water and Sewer Department employees.
Earlier, nothing was resolved on water and sewer.
No.
Okay, I want to make sure it was resolved, right?
Michelle, will you please remind me where we were?
Yes, we are on resolution 2024-108.
Thanks. Resolution 2024-108, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing certain budgetary modifications.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-109, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting meal program donations for the town senior center.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank these individuals who donated this money to the Senior Center Food Program in memory of one of the, Helen Perfetti, who was a longtime member of the Senior Center who has recently passed away.
Thank you. No other discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-110, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution establishing a standard workday and reporting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-111, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the submittal of a grant applications.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-112, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring seasonal employees in the town's Office of Community Programs.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-113, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 vehicles for the police department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-114, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution disestablishing petty cash funds in the Niskayuna Police Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-115, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution amending resolution number 2024-42.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes. The resolution.
5 ayes.
Sorry, the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-116, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution integrating the Town Historical Committee into the town's Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-117, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing contracts for the public display of fireworks for the Town of Niskayuna Niska Day celebration.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-118, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni and Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting lands from New York State known as Mohawk River State Park and authorizing the supervisor to execute letter patents.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is going to be a great addition to our natural resources inventory. 4 parcels combined into, I'm not sure the acreage, is it about 60 acres that this is going to be?
Over 100.
Over 100 acres. That's a phenomenal amount of green space that our residents can enjoy. So thank you very much, Supervisor, for getting this done.
Forever Wild will stay forever wild. We worked very hard with residents to craft the language, and we worked very hard with our state representatives, all the way working with Elaine Cheney and Ball at New York State Parks and Historical Preservation, working with our residents, working with members of Friends of Niskayuna Trails, ECOS, Councilmember McPartlin, Highway Superintendent Ray Smith. It was really a team effort. We put together a solid plan. We executed it in a timely manner, and we are really excited for what's to come. You can look forward to a a more expansive press release. And we'll be having a launch on June 1st with a wonderful trail cleanup day. And there'll be more to come. So thanks a lot, everybody. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-119, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a water plant operator in the Water and Sewer Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-120, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the installation of sewer piping and manholes at River Road Park.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-121, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution awarding a contract for the application of spray foam installation at the town's water treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution number 2024-122, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 valve actuators for use in the town's wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-123, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution amending Resolution 2024-77.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-124, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
Resolution amending Resolution number 2024-94.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just have a brief statement, Supervisor. This is the resolution to extend the due date of the utility bills through July 19th. And I fully I fully support extending the date of the utility bills without penalty. I think it's the least we can do to relieve the financial burden that our residents unexpectedly faced. Furthermore, because of the hardship that residents have expressed and because of the lack of communication on the town's part, which we have moved to further amend this resolution to board shall immediately make null and void any and all utilities 2023 through January 9th, 2024, and that this town board shall authorize the reissuance of utility bills for that same period using the former rates, formulas, and billing structure, with each account's respective fund balance to be used to cover any deficits that this reversal may effectuate, and that this town board shall, through a request for proposals, acquire the services of an outside firm to audit and analyze the town's utility billing practices and to assist us in developing a multi-year plan for the gradual implementation of new rates and billing practices. And as I said, I suggest this amendment to address the hardship that our residents have expressed to us numerous times. And Supervisor, I heard and I understand your comments earlier, and I agree with you 100% that this is not sustainable. But our water and sewer 6 fund balances are healthy enough to give us what I believe is a very short period of time to do better. And that is the amendment that I propose.
Is there a second for the amendment of the resolution? All right, seeing that there's no second. Is there any discussion?
Supervisor, I believe that amendment would be illegal as described by our comptroller, and therefore I don't think that we can vote on it.
Is there a specific?
All right.
I was just wondering if there's a specific part in town code or state code that you're referencing for the authority, just so I can look it up.
Not that I'm aware of. I think we as the governing and legislative body have the authority to set rates and determine, I mean, we pass a resolution every year to send out the bills.
Are you citing to a specific part of the code, just so, because I would like to look it up.
I don't have it in front of me. That's the amendment that I'm proposing.
I don't know how that'd be possible because the bills have gone out and approximately, I think, 3,000 have already been paid. So.
Have you talked to our attorney about this resolution
I have not.
prior to tonight? That would have been helpful to prepare.
Wait, this is the amendment that I'm proposing.
Write it just now. You came into this meeting ready to go, and it would have been helpful to communicate with us so we could have looked it up and known, if it
I've
isn't
been attempting to
legal.
communicate since the bills were mailed, and I'm still waiting answers. But again, this is the amendment that
So Elena Finnan didn't respond to your legal questions?
this is not the time for us to go back and forth. This is the amendment that I'm proposing.
This is exactly the time for us to have this discussion.
This is transparency.
My understanding is it would be illegal because we can't make up the sewer deficit out of the general contingency fund. So because of that reason, we wouldn't be able to vote on it.
So there was actually no second on the motion, so right now the motion has not, or the motion to amend has not carried. You have a resolution that has been sponsored and seconded, so there can be further discussion on the resolution as drafted. If there is no further discussion, then I would go to a vote.
All right, seeing no further discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
You're voting on the amendment or the original resolution?
The original resolution.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-125, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of insertion valve line tapping equipment and insertion valves.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2024-126, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution establishing an elected official salary review committee and appointing members thereto.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I want to thank you for putting this forward. I have talked to the prior supervisor of the town about this, and I've talked to all the board members about this, and it's time for us to get a committee together, which is what we're doing with this proposal, to look at the salaries for the elected officials in the town. This was done in, I believe, 2012. Don't quote me on that date, but we did do it in the past, and really nothing came of it. And it's time that we do that again. And we've selected individuals from the community. Every board member selected a member for this committee, and the resolutions gives their political affiliation, which is all varied affiliations in the town. So it's a good representation of our town. So thank you for putting this forward.
I would also like to take this opportunity to publicly state that whatever the committee's recommendation, I will not take a new salary. This will be, the recommendation will be for whoever is the town supervisor next. So before someone accuses me of making a money grab or doing this to gain any financial benefits, we'll put that to rest right now.
I thank you for being that upstanding. It's our job as board members here to think about the future of the town. And that includes all the things we've discussed tonight, the water and sewer rates, the salaries for people in the town, hiring people. These are all things we have to do. And, you know, if you see, never a good time to raise taxes, and it's never a good time for somebody in a political position to raise their salary. But if we don't do those things and we don't think about the future of the town, we're going to be in a bad situation. So we've got to think about the future, and that's what we're doing with a lot of these proposals tonight, resolutions tonight.
Should also be noted, other municipalities have done the exact same thing. Glenville, which is a comparable town, did this.
Triple the water rates.
Ma'am, this is not the time.
This resolution is just appointing a committee. This is just to get individuals from our town to talk about it. We don't know what they're going to come up with. The individuals on this committee may come back to the town board and say, we think you should leave it the way it is. We don't know. That's what this resolution is about. This is not the town board. This is a committee. They're going to give us a recommendation, and we'll go from there.
Would you like to add anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the resolution passes. That is all we have for tonight's agenda. We are going to move into, I move to executive session pursuant of,
The executive session is to discuss the employment history of an individual and medical history of 2 individuals that are employed by the town of Niskayuna.
at the conclusion of executive session, we will not discuss any other town business. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? We are now moving into executive session.